Hello friends, we're back in the latte art grind. Today we're going to be learning how to pour the Rosetta. A Rosetta is a very foundational design. It is very common and it's probably one of the first designs that you've learned besides maybe a heart. And if you haven't learned how to do a heart, go check out our video on how to do it. It's great. But a Rosetta is very, very foundational. You will see some form of a Rosetta in a lot of designs. A swan, seahorse, horse. I've seen a horse being done. It's very difficult. A chipmunk. Basically, the Rosetta, the wiggle is really, really foundational. So learning how to do it properly is very helpful in any design that you might want to do in the future. So how do we wiggle? How do we gyrate our hand properly? Let's learn. All right, Rosettas. How do we pour Rosettas? How do we not make them look like a weird sort of phallic shape? Let's talk about it. Well, like I always say, good latte art comes with good milk. So if you're struggling to get consistently properly textured milk, go check out our other video on how to steam milk. Keep practicing, try and get that dialed in. And that's especially important for a Rosetta. The best Rosettas will be yielded by the best milk. Now for a Rosetta, to create that kind of leaf-like shape, that fern-like shape, we're basically rippling our milk back and forth to create those kind of wiggly lines. Now, one thing I see a lot of beginners do improperly is they kind of go really fast back and forth because they're trying to get something to show up. And that's usually going to yield very thin lines and it's not going to be very full Rosetta. So the biggest recommendation I have for your Rosetta is do kind of these wide, slower ripples. Don't go really fast and close, wide and slow. Basically, when you start rippling, you're gonna do one wide one. That's gonna kind of help your milk start sloshing around, and then you kind of just follow the momentum of that milk. You just let the milk flow. You just kind of let it flow, you know? It's not you making the art, it's the milk guiding you to this beautiful masterpiece. Anyways, if you've seen my video on pouring hearts and the 3 variations on hearts, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mentioned this as well. Basically, the main takeaway here is do wide ripples. Try and go wider, and that's gonna help you create those nice, wide, kind of looping ripples with that little brown slit in between. That's what we want. Okay, pouring a Rosetta. What are we doing? How do we do this? Well, much like every design, we're gonna start by creating a base for ourselves. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out our video on how to pour latte art. It's just a generic video that talks about the different stages of pouring latte art. One of those being creating your little base, your combination stage. Create a base for yourself. Basically, it's creating a little canvas by mixing your milk and espresso together for you to pour your art into. So we're gonna start by creating that base. We're gonna pour and we're gonna fill our cup up about 1/3 of the way. For Rosetta, we want it to be about 1/3 of the way. It gives us more time to pour that design. Then once we have our base, we're gonna get as close to our little base liquid as possible, just like every design. And we're gonna aim for the center of our cup. We're gonna start pouring straight right in that center. And as soon as our milk starts showing up on top of our design, that's when we start rippling. We're not starting with the ripple, we're starting straight, and as soon as something shows up, that's kind of our signal. It's our little flag to go, okay, now I start rippling. So I'm gonna pour straight right in that center, wait for something to show up, something shows up, all right, I start rippling. When I start rippling, I'm gonna slowly move it forward, or backwards rather, kind of backwards towards my cup, and that's gonna create that nice wide base that you see in those Rosettas. If you don't do this, you'll usually see very thin, more fern-like Rosettas rather than a nice wide base. Once I'm happy with how wide that base is, that's when I'm gonna start moving back up my cup the other direction, and that's gonna create that long neck of my Rosetta. So I'm gonna move all the way back to the tip of my cup, and ideally this will time out to the point where your cup is just about full. So I'm gonna move back, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna stop rippling at the very end and leave it there just for a second. That's gonna create kind of a little heart at the very end. I'm gonna leave it there and then I'm gonna lift up and pull through. So to recap, pour your base. Start in the center by pouring straight. Begin rippling as soon as you see something show up. Push it back until you're happy with how wide it is. Then move backwards up your cup, creating that neck. Once you're at the very end, stop rippling for just a second, lift up, pull through. Comprende? Now, you're not gonna learn much from just hearing me talk about it, so let's do some actual examples and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so we start here by making our base, mixing our milk and espresso, trying our best not to break up that crema so that it's a nice consistent color underneath. Then I aim for the center, pour straight, and as soon as something shows up, that's when I do my ripple. I push it back to get that wide base, then I do the neck, and I lift up, and I pull through. That creates that wide base at the bottom with a long skinny neck, and that's what we want in a Rosetta. And here's another angle for you guys just to get a different perspective. Again, try and focus on getting wide ripples. That's gonna lead to the nice separation between those layers, and that's gonna lead to a more defined Rosetta. Now, mine aren't perfect, not gonna lie. There's definitely better ones out there, but you can definitely learn from them. And boom, you know how to pour a Rosetta now. Wasn't that easy? All I gotta do is just do it well, and it'll look good. For real though, this design is super duper foundational, much like the 3 variations on the heart that we recently posted. This design is found in a myriad of other designs out there, and you can use it for pretty much any design in the market. So you're set, you're good now. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, drop me a like, drop me a comment. If it wasn't, tear me apart in the comments. Tell me why it was bad, because I will learn from constructive criticism. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to learn this video. If there's any other designs that you'd like to learn about, let me know and I'll make you a vid. And we will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.